Good morning, comrades. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the Nürburgring here at Apex, and welcome to another episode of Green Health Tactics, where I'm going to tell you a thing or two how to improve your performance driving style. And namely, today we are discussing braking. In previous video, George and I explained you how the braking system is working, and now I would like to talk to you about how to actually brake properly, especially on the racetrack. Now, some of you might say like, well, I already know how to brake because my driving instructor for my driving school taught me how to do it when I was getting my driver's license. I'm going to tell you that he taught to you how to brake wrong when it comes to performance driving, because when it comes to driving on the street, in driving schools, they tell you you need to start braking smoothly, use as less of brake force as possible to not upset your exam guy that is going to evaluate you and make you pass or fail for your driver's license, and then build up the brake pressure, and at the very end you brake even more, and then you let go so to again not to upset everyone. This is the most dangerous thing that is being like blueprinted into your brain, and like the scariest moments I've had with the beginning drivers at the Nürburgring or any racetrack in the world is that they use the same technique in addition with the fear of like, I don't want to unsettle the car, I don't want to break anything. By break I mean destroy, not by break by slow down. I want to like take it easy, and then you increase the speed and they become more confident, but then they still apply the same amount of brake pressure, brake very smoothly, and then you end up yelling, brake harder, brake harder, brake harder. So how do you brake properly on any racetrack? It is completely the opposite way around. You actually need to stab and then smoothly squeeze in, optionally, and then squeeze out. What does this mean? You want to have the absolute maximum braking force, because you want to have the highest braking force, but also you want to have it for the shortest amount of time, because the less time you spend on braking, the more time you can again spend on accelerating or actually cornering. And especially braking following by cornering is something that we'll get into it later on. It's a very important part. So I will have here a little help. This is a very special model, a Porsche GT3 Cup Car Touring, because as you can see, it has no wing. All the jokes aside, I want to explain to you what is happening and what you need to avoid or basically pay attention to when you are braking. So as mentioned, you want to apply the most brake force at the very beginning of the braking maneuver, in a straight line, of course, unless sometimes you need to correct, but the most braking is done in a straight line because your tires also have the most contact patch. So you brake as hard as you can without locking up the wheels. So if your car, race car or even road car has no ABS, you need to know where is your like maximum braking force, your so-called threshold braking. So you brake as hard as you can, and sometimes you maybe want to squeeze even more. So what happens is when, especially like the beginning mistake of advanced drivers is when they get accustomed to this technique, is that they stab, but they actually don't step even further, like those last couple percent that you can get to this final maximum point. So brake as hard as you can to this first part. That's the first part, okay, as mentioned already. What you need to pay attention to is A, not to lock up the wheels as mentioned previously, but B, as we discussed, modern cars are equipped with ABS, the anti-blocking system that avoid you from locking up the wheels. So they will actually release some of the brake pressure and thereby avoid you from braking more. So you also do not want to brake maximum into ABS. That's also a very important aspect. So once you've done the first initial bite of the maximum braking, of the stab, and optionally squeezing closer towards the braking limit. And again, the braking limit, it depends on every type of car, like on the type of components you're running, type of car you're running, the brake bias that you're running, the situation, whether you're in dry or in the wet, because in the wet you're like significantly slower when it comes to braking because everything is like a lot more sensitive and the grip levels are different. Once you're done with this first part, you need to start easing up the brakes. So you stab as slowly as you can or like as hard as you can, and then you need to unsqueeze brakes, come off the brakes slowly and smoothly. And this is done because of the two reasons. First of all, you don't want to unsettle the car too much, because if you brake and release too fast, it will unsettle the car too much. And again, this is another beginner's mistake, that people treat the brake pedal as an on or off switch. The same goes for accelerator pedal. You need to really have lots of balance in between and know what exactly, how much of the brake pressure will change the driving dynamics of the car. Be extra cautious with that. Now, apart from this very extreme example where you operate the brake pedal as an on or off switch and thereby switching the weight of the car from one side to another and ultimately unsettling the car and eventually crashing the car, the reason why the last moments, the last sequence of braking maneuvers is extremely important for the following reasons. Why you need to be smooth on the actually getting off the braking. Once you master that, it will allow you to trail brake, and trail braking is basically a fancy name for braking while still going into the corner, braking into the corner. For once you can extend your braking zone or actually delay your braking point because you still have braking force applying later into the corner, so it will allow you to carry more speed, and essentially it will make you faster. Trail braking also allows you to manipulate the weight to your advantage because, again, as mentioned, when you brake, the weight of the car is switching to the front, and it will allow you to have more grip on the front tires, on the front wheels. And also, with more weight on the front, it will also allow you to maneuver the car or turn in the car better. In the case of a 911, since we'll have a 911 here, sometimes you even need to trail brake because you have more weight automatically in stationary position, more weight on the back of the car because the engine is being on the back. But it's a very extreme example. Now, another final reason why the last moments of braking or actually letting go of the brake pedal are extremely important is for something that is being overlooked by many advanced drivers and especially also the beginner drivers. When you are getting into racing and you start thinking about, okay, accelerating, braking consists out of the braking markers. I should start braking there, and I should release brake there, and I should brake in a straight line, so I let go of the brakes and I start turning in. What a lot of people overlook is that this whole weight dynamics, the weight shift, it will take a moment for a car to recover. So if you simply brake from one marker to another and you let go here and you start turning in here, the car is still loaded to the front axle. So what happens then is the car still starts to understeer. But if you let go sooner, you actually already have significantly more, the car is balanced in neutral position, and then it will turn as it should be. So quite often people complain, the car understeers too much, the car understeers too much, especially with front wheel driven cars because they already have more weight shifted to the front, so they have more grip on the front tires. The car is actually not understeering much, you are just being too much on the brakes for too long. The best tip that I have received from my very good friend and a very good driver, Ice Cold Moritz, who is racing GT3s and LMPs, is to actually go off the brakes sooner. And once I did that, I became actually significantly faster because it allowed me to actually concentrate on the corner. Whereas in the past, I was thinking too much like, I need to brake as hard as I can. Actually, later, I'm like, okay, I brake sooner, and then it allows me to think for a microsecond, and then it allows me to steer in. So these moments are extremely important. Braking too late will cost you seconds and maybe even also the whole race. But like braking too soon, it will cost you maybe a couple of tenths of a second because you can just then extend the braking zone, tap one more time. But it's again very important still to brake to have the front end loaded. It's a lot of information, a lot of contradicted information in some cases because for example, of ABS, it helps you to stop, but on the other hand, it prevents you to stop if you are knowing the car dynamics to its full extent, I know. But it's an ongoing principle, and this is why every day is a school day when it comes to the driving dynamics. So basically what I want to say is that every day is a school day. You need to constantly improve your driving technique, get experience, feel what the car is doing, how it is reacting to your inputs. And I could say subscribe, like, and share, hit the notification button. Thank you for watching. I hope you learned something. But there's actually one more thing that I want to share with you, what a lot of people are going to ask about, left foot braking. I could make a separate video on its own, but actually I'm going to keep it pretty short. What is left foot braking? It is, as the title suggests, you are braking with your left foot. It is more complicated with a manual operated car because you still need to operate the clutch with your left foot, but sometimes when you don't need to shift gears through the corners, it is convenient to operate still brake with the left foot. And why it is good is because you don't have to, like, there is no in between, like accelerating, shifting your foot from the accelerator pedal to brake foot. There is no moments in between. And when you're driving fast on the limit, like the less time you spend of like having this car in this imbalance, even if we're talking about 1/10 or 100th of a second, the better it is. So left foot braking is definitely lots of it will be used to your advantage for weight shifting techniques. For me, I found it personally, it made me a lot more comfortable in the car, not only for weight shifting, but also in dogfighting with overtaking cars, because I could stick up to other cars' backs or bumper to bumper, because I knew if it's gonna brake suddenly, I will be prepared. I already have a foot on my brake pedal. But since this video is more about learning how to do certain things and explain certain things, how do you left foot brake? For me personally, I learned it by actually doing it on the street and by going for long trips. In the past, when I used to work with Audi, I had to travel to Munich, so like 5-hour drive, long time on the Autobahn, and on a long straight, you could do it. But the first time you're gonna do left foot brake, do it actually probably somewhere in a parking lot, because what happens there, usually when you have your left foot on the actually dead pedal and you hold yourself in position and you brake with your right foot, you hold yourself back and you know for the forces coming. When you brake with your left foot, you're actually quite loose in your seat and you're being shifted forward together with the weight of the car, and you're being pushed forward, and then you actually brake even more. It's like double braking zone. So what you need to do is make yourself that you're strapped in the seat and you feel the contact points are on the steering wheel, preferably in the seat if you have harnesses, but use the ball of your feet, like really grip into the floor. It's a very long going process, but after like a week or so, you will have it dialed in, and it will make you a safer driver and a faster driver. A lot of people are gonna say it is useless on the street. I will agree to that. Some people also say in racing it doesn't matter. Professional race car drivers, they don't care about it if they do left foot brake or not. I personally find it can be used to an advantage, but everyone needs to find out for themselves. And speaking about everyone finding out for themselves, let me know what you thought of this video. If you learned a thing or two, if you maybe want to know something more about certain subjects that we talked about, or maybe you completely disagree with me, that's perfectly fine. That's why we are here on YouTube, and to discuss certain things, and we are car guys at the end of the day, and we talk and discuss about things. So thanks for watching, and looking forward to seeing you in one of the other upcoming videos where we, I don't know, suggest a topic. Should we talk about accelerator next, or maybe suspension components, or what do you want to hear next? So have a good day. Thanks for watching. See you then. Bye-bye.